Guys, what an amazing fight yesterday between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. Um, that was an amazing fight. I didn't think the fight would end up that way, but I kept on days and weeks leading up to the fight. I kept thinking to myself, like, this guy seems a little bit too confident. I'm talking about Lamont Roach. And I know sometimes when you hear pre-game speeches or pre-fight speeches, it usually doesn't mean anything because you're supposed to feel confident. No boxer goes into a match saying, I'm going to lose. But it was much more than Lamont's words. It was just his calm, his sense of resolve. He didn't seem bothered at all by Tank. And to my mistake and to my misacknowledgement, I didn't know how important experience was going to play a role in this fight. I didn't understand how significant the idea of the experience would have in this fight, the impact that it had on this fight. Because I mean, Lamont knew Tank Davis, and he wasn't at all surprised by anything. Now, I think that the fight in itself, the 12-round fight in and of itself, had a lot of drama in it, and I believe that a lot of people are overreacting. The fight was much closer than people think, but I think that psychologically we've been kind of shocked. We're so used to seeing Tank go in there and just dominate his opponents and clean them out in the latter part of the fight, knocking his opponents out to the point where he's called like he's given a nickname as a Mike Tyson of the lightweights. You know, he's given that name because he just puts people out. He puts your lights out. But I think seeing Lamont Roach last 12 rounds, it just makes people automatically think that Lamont Roach won. Now, you've had certain people look at the CompuBox numbers, like people like Showbiz the Adult. He looked at the CompuBox numbers and he used the numbers to judge the fight. But I'm a little bit leery of CompuBox numbers because sometimes CompuBox numbers doesn't tell the full story. Watching the fight, it seemed to me that Tank landed more powerful punches. Did Lamont Roach jab more? Of course. But I think we're so used to Tank Davis, Gervonta Tank Davis, we're so used to him coming in there, and when he hits you with a nice blow, with a nice punch, he rattles his opponents and his opponents go down. Not seeing Lamont Roach hit the canvas, I think it threw us all off. We automatically thought, oh, it means that this guy's beating Tank. The knee that Tank took, the voluntary knee that he took, to me, did him in. It didn't look good. Even though the judges didn't take points off, it just added to the narrative that he lost. So I think that the judges got it right by calling it a draw because, and I'm not the kind of person that believes that you have to dominate the champion in order to win. If you win, you win. But I don't think Lamont won. I just think that people saw him survive 12 rounds and they're like, oh, he won the fight. And then seeing Tank take a knee, he didn't get knocked down. I'm bald now, but I used to have braids. I understand what he means. When you get your braids done, depending on what kind of grease is put in your hair, if you're out and about and you're actually sweating profusely or like working out and you're sweating, the sweat will come in your eye and it burns. It's almost like somebody sprayed mace in your eyes. And if you heard the explanation from Tank Davis, he said, look, I took a knee because I didn't want to get knocked down. He got hit. He didn't take a knee because he was hurt. He took a knee because he couldn't see. His eyes were burning. So he had two choices. Keep fighting with your eyes burning and risk being knocked down for real, or take a knee, readjust yourself and come back and fight. And he took the latter. He took the later option. Because it wouldn't be great optics. It wouldn't be a great optical thing to see Tank go to the floor because of a Lamont Roach punch. That would not look good for Tank. So I think him taking a knee kind of saved. It's an ego saving thing. He preserved his pride, so to speak, because seeing him actually get clipped and knocked out or knocked down looks much worse than him just taking the knee and using the towel to try to wipe the grease off of his face or out of his eyes. And people booed. They were using that thinking that Tank was using that as an excuse. I don't think he was. I think he based on my experience with braids, it happens. If you're sweating with braids, that happens. Another thing that I think worked against Tank Davis was his overconfidence. He already started talking about who he's going to call out after the fight. It was a foregone conclusion that he was going to win. No one gave Lamont Roach a chance. Now, I'm not saying I gave Lamont Roach a chance, but I told you guys leading up to the fight, I kept thinking to myself, like, I don't know, man. Tank has a lot of things going on. He's contemplating retirement. His corner, the usual camp that he usually has with his corner man. I forgot his corner man's name, but the guy that's usually working with him, he wasn't there for personal reasons. You have Tank contemplating retirement. He's giving off these weird vibes at these interviews. It just got to a point where I started to think that Tank is thinking that he's bigger than boxing, and to the point where he's almost doing certain things to gain attention to himself. He sees that Turki Al-Sheikh is gaining all of this notoriety for shifting boxing's paradigm and shifting boxing's trajectory into a lane that's going to actually make boxing a little bit more popular by allowing these fights that normally wouldn't happen under the old guard to actually start happening now. So people are tuning in to what Turki Al-Sheikh is doing. And I don't think Tank likes that. Is it a little bit of jealousy? I think it is, because the focus is not on you. Like, boxing will go on with or without you, Tank, and you can either jump on board or jump off the train. I'm not faulting Tank Davis for being loyal to Al Heyman by not wanting to go on the Turki Al-Sheikh side and fight. To each its own. But I think that some of Tank's antics leading up, whenever Turki Al-Sheikh would put on an event and Tank Davis's antics, I think all of that was done for him to gain attention. Simply put, he's just saying, he's like a little kid in a store that, hey, everybody look at me, don't forget about me. So he's contemplating retirement, saying all these outlandish things. Now, is it true that there's some truth to him at that time that he was contemplating retirement? Maybe, maybe not. But he still had some fights to fight this year before he officially, quote unquote, retired. He still had 3 fights. But now that 3 fights has been extended to 4 because you have to add Lamont Roach in that deal. So he was already looking ahead. You never do that in a sport of boxing, especially a physical sport and a combat sport like boxing. You don't overlook your opponent. And I'm shocked that Tank would do that. He's always the one to say that I respect my opponent. Well, you're disrespecting your opponent when you're talking about what you're going to do next, who you're going to call out next. You're already assuming that you're just going to win. And I think that was the mistake that he made. Psychologically, he already just overlooked Lamont Roach. I'm going to say this before I end this video. I'm going to say that this is the best thing that happened to Tank. He needed to lose. And if you heard in the post-game fight interview, questions about him retiring came up. And he says, nah, I'm not retiring anymore. You can see a fire is lit underneath him. The Baltimore native does not like losing. Nobody likes losing, but he does not like losing. And to me, the draw is equivalent to a loss to him because he's so used to dominating fights. And the draw is also a loss because the majority of people thought that Lamont Roach won. But I think that if you watch the fight again, Lamont Roach just overexceeded the expectations that everybody had on him. People thought that Lamont Roach was going to be out early. He stood in there in the pocket. He took Tank Davis's punches. He even exchanged back with Tank. But to say that he just beat Tank, I don't think he beat Tank. I think the draw was the best decision that you can put for that fight. But if they added the knockdown, then he definitely would have lost. But I think them not counting that as a knockdown and giving that round, I think round 9, I believe, not giving that round to Lamont Roach as a 10-8 round, I think it truly hurt. It truly hurt Lamont's chances of winning the fight. But the rematch is going to happen, and I can't wait for it to happen. But I think that we're going to see the best version of Tank Davis moving forward. I think he needed the loss. He needed the draw. He didn't win. He needed whatever happened to him happened for a reason. And I'm glad that it happened because now it has ignited his passion to come back and be fully focused on boxing and boxing alone. And moving forward, we will see the best version of Tank. And I don't think this idea that what happened to Roy Jones with Tarver is going to happen with Tank. I don't think Lamont's going to beat him the second time. It's not happening. All right, peace out. Tell me what you guys think. Till next time. Remember, your health is your wealth. Peace.